Our top story this morning, President Moon Jae-in's team of special envoys will travel to Pyongyang soon for talks on the upcoming inter-Korean summit, as well as the regime's denuclearization. The delegation is comprised of the same 5 officials who visited the North Korean capital back in March, which planted the seed for North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's respective summits with President Moon, as well as U.S. President Donald Trump. Let's speak to our Shin Se-min, who's following this one-day trip for us from South Korea's top office. So, Semin, a lot has changed since these officials last travelled to Pyongyang in March, but we are hoping this trip will be as fruitful as the last.
Well, Mark, that's the goal. The South Korea special envoy is leaving with an ambitious goal, mission and agenda to work out the impasse in denuclearizing North Korea. And that exact statement was resonated and was said by the special envoy Chung himself, Chung Eui-yong, that is, who was here at the top office telling reporters about his plans to, quote, completely denuclearize the North Korean regime, as well as implementing lasting peace in the region. Take a listen.
Just as the president said, this is an extremely important time in terms of establishing peace on the Korean peninsula. Peace in the region and complete denuclearization go together.
Now, so 3 major things we can expect today from the envoys. 1, settling the specific date and agenda for the inter-Korean summit in Pyongyang this month, negotiating ways for a complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. And lastly, talking about improving relations between the 2 Koreas by implementing the Panmunjom Declaration signed by the 2 leaders back in April. Now, Chung did also add that he will be carrying a letter from President Moon to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, although it still remains unclear whether he'll speak to Kim himself today. Now, let me briefly tell you about the day-long trip. Mark, the envoys are to depart by plane at 7:40 a.m., so in around 30 minutes time, that is. But we still don't have exact details on when they'll be back, as Chung, the special envoy, said himself that the detailed plan of his trip today to Pyongyang is still under wraps until he actually touches down in North Korean capital. Mark?
OK, so we probably won't hear very much from them until they get back to Seoul. Hopefully they can get some commitments out of the North Koreans while they're there. But let's switch our attention to a phone call, a very important call as well, President Moon had last night.
Right. President Moon spoke with his U.S. counterpart, President Donald Trump, about the envoy situation here in Korea as they are embarking on a trip to Pyongyang, and during which the phone conversation, the 2 leaders have also agreed to sit down for a sideline talks in New York, that is, later this month, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Now, the 2 leaders have also discussed the ongoing inter-Korean relations, and the timing of it is worth considering, as it will probably be shortly after President Moon holds his sit-down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang. The Blue House also said the 2 leaders agreed to continue their push for the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and for a continued close consultations throughout. And the White House also said cooperation between the 2 allies was struck, including the ongoing efforts to achieve that final, fully verified denuclearization of the North Korean regime. Mark?